Students, today we are going to discuss the India. It is a highly important topic of the UPSC GS paper number 2nd, and it is useful for the prelims, mains, essay, and as well as for the interview also. So India's foreign policy is not just about the relation with other countries. It is about how India protects its national interests in a changing world order. So as we have seen in the recently or last week, especially what kind of the relation we had with the Bangladesh, our neighbor, the foreign policy refers to the principles, objective and strategies adopted by nations to conduct relation with other countries and international institutions. The India's national interests include sovereignty and territorial integrity, economic developments, so strategic security and global peace and stability. So this is it is one of the most important lesson or subject for the overall our whole country, especially the if you see the some of the if we categorize our foreign policy from 1947 to 62, it is that was the age of the non-alignment where the India's foreign policy was shaped by the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and the key features of the first, the anti-colonialism, the peace coexistence, leadership of the newly independent nations, and non-alignment movement. So India refused to join other USA and USSR that time. So age of the non-alignment movement, where from the 1947 to 62, it is called the phase of the non-alignment movement, where our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru especially led the one side of the countries, because after the Second World War the world was divided into two poles. The first one pole is or one group was led by the USA, and another group was led by the USSR. And these critical times when the world was divided into the two groups or bipolar situation was there. Even though in this situation the first Prime Minister of India has led successfully the more than 170 countries group is called the NAM, non-alignment movement. So it was one of the great actually it is what a great time for our foreign policy, even though the India was economically very weak, economically, politically even, but politically we were one of the solid countries in that time also. So let's talk in details about it. So objective of this strategic independence, the Panchsheel especially dominated this phase, especially the mutual respect. Panchsheel is one of the key, and in which the mutual respect, sovereignty, non-aggression, non-interference, and equality in mutual benefit. And last one is the peaceful coexistence. These are the Panchsheel philosophy were given by the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru to us in a phase 2 from this 1960 to 1991. So realism and strategic difference. So it was a phase of the realism and strategic shift. So 1962 to 1991. So this was the phase where we have to accept the reality, because so many times actually we were India especially faced the huge drought-like situation, and that time we faced the reality of the economic hardship. And so this is why the end of the Cold War was there also. So phase 2, especially the realism and strategic tilt, from the 1962 Indo-China War, we have exposed our security weaknesses was exposed, and shift from the idealism to realism was there. 1962 to 91, the realism and strategic tilt, because 1962 Indo-China War especially exposed the security weakness of ours, and from there the shift from the non-alignment to the one alignment. So some of the treaty based science and Pokhran, especially Pokhran, we have tested the nuclear test, and nuclear capability was tested in 1974. So morality with the national security compulsions. So these are the characteristics of the phase 2. From the 1991, the strategic autonomy, the reasons are because of the end of the Cold War. Actually, Cold War was ended into the liberalization, globalization, and privatization. So we have accepted from then. So from the non-alignment to multi-alignment. So focus on the economic diplomacy, technology and defense cooperation. So the core principles of the India's foreign policy that time, if you see, the from the 1990 to up to now onwards, the independent decision making and peaceful resolution of the disputes, the non-interventions, rule based, the international order, and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So these are one of the important features of the our current philosophy or current principles of our foreign policy. So as far as, and these are the neighborhood first policy, the priority to the South Asian countries were given in the form of the SARC. So Asian countries were prioritized. The Act East policy was also started, where the ASEAN, Japan, South Korea, and economic strategic focus was there. So look East and look West policy, both these kind of the policy we have accepted. Fine, as far as Indian security is concerned, the relation with the Palestine and Israel, the Indo-Pacific policies are also there. The free, open, inclusive Indo-Pacific maritime security, maritime, the freedom and navigation. So these are the also features. So India and global, the grouping, the United Nations peacekeeping operations, we have number of the times we have contributed into the economics, sorry, the peacekeeping operation of the United Nations. So now and BRICS is one of the important organizations we have started with the help of the BRICS, means Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Along with this, the Quad operation and Quad organization also started. It was actually the multipolar organization against the dominance of the China. So this was also there. The India's relations with the major powers, if you see, as far as US is concerned, defense technology based in this relation we had with we have with the USA, the Indo-Pacific strategy convergence with the Russia. Russia has been remained one of the important ally of India. The defense equipment, nuclear and space cooperation with the Russia over the years we had, or we have even today also. With the China, we have always the LAC, the problem of the border dispute is there, and competition is also one of the biggest competitor of India is now China. So the climate change is also posing the threat overall world. Means if you see the climate change especially having the impact of the overall foreign policy of the world also. Now the Russia and Ukraine conflict and Israel Palestine conflict, say energy security, climate change. So these are the some of the challenges are facing, are being faced by the Indian foreign policy diplomat or expert. The current trends, if you see, as far as current trends is concerned, the multi-alignment strategy, vaccine diplomacy in the COVID times of 2019, especially we have seen that vaccine diplomacy where the India especially developed the most of the organization, and India have produced the largest number of the or largest quantity of the largest quantity of the corona vaccines, and that time we have had the vaccine diplomacy. India seeks to be the leading power and not a balancing power. So India especially having trying to have the its actually due respect and due post and due leadership. So overall, if you see, when we try to conclude the India's foreign policy today, so reflects a blend of the realism and idealism is there, because as a first prime minister, we have idealized our foreign policy, ensuring national interest, the promoting global peace and positioning India as a responsible global power. So overall, India's foreign policy always inclined the multipolar. We always believe in the non-alignment, means the groupings of the world. Actually, we do not accept overall. Uh, thank you.